Hi everybody and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. A quick warning before we begin. Today's first story touches on the subject of cultural acceptance and there's also mention of parental abuse. So if either of those two are topics that make you uncomfortable, you might want to skip the first story. Now let's get started. This post is from the subreddit Relationships and it's by user Throwaway17033. I, 25 female, don't know how to introduce my family to my 29 male boyfriend newly engaged. Family is going to hate it. Hi relationships, I need some help or pointers for introducing my fiance to my family and giving him some much needed disclaimers before the introduction. I'll start with a bit of background. My fiance and I come from different ethnicities and races. I was born in the US to immigrant parents who raised me to date and eventually marry a man from the same part of the world that we're from. I've always known there would be major issues if I brought anyone else home, so I generally haven't brought anyone home and I don't have a good relationship with my parents because of it. They put me down a lot and make comments that amount to not thinking I'm marriage material because I do things like speak my mind, have a college degree and have a job, so I avoid them altogether. And here's where my problem is. My fiance and I have been engaged for about 2 months and I haven't told my family yet because I don't want to deal with their crap. My fiance is pretty upset that they don't know about him and we've mutually decided to tell them at my cousin's wedding in May, and I am extremely nervous. I know my parents will have many rude comments and questions, and I have no idea how to prepare him for any of this. I have told them that they disapprove of my dating out of our culture, but he doesn't get it. His family is open and loving. They've always been happy that we're together. I am so ashamed of the way that I know my family will act. He is so excited to meet them, in spite of my attempts to explain how they will be. He's taking a lot of time off from work to travel to this wedding, thinking it will be a great family bonding thing. And I know it's going to be horrible. I'm literally sick with worry over it. What should I do? Thanks. Oof, OP, this is a very difficult and tough situation, of course, but the first thing that I would say is do not let your parents meet your fiance at a wedding. And I mean this because you've stated that your parents would disapprove of him right away, so I'm pretty sure they would cause a scene wherever they would meet him. Don't let that happen at somebody's wedding. That's not fair to the bride and groom. Now, regarding your parents, my question is, what kind of relationship do you want to have with them after they know about your fiance or future husband? And I ask this because you don't seem so keen in keeping any kind of relationship with your parents because you fundamentally disagree with your parents on this one big cultural thing. Now, you're getting married to your fiance, hopefully, so I'm pretty sure you're not gonna be the one to change your mind, and your parents don't seem like the kind of people that would do that also. And now let's add your future husband's eagerness to meet them, considering that you've warned him about how it's gonna go. And on this point, OP, it sucks, but sometimes people need to live the experience to actually understand it. Otherwise, it's just theoretical, interpreted through their life experience, so it's not necessarily the same. So it might hurt him to meet your parents, but it's like a band-aid. Just do it the one time, and then you might agree that you guys go no contact with them. And what do you guys think about this whole situation? What would you do if you were in OP's shoes? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's move on to the community comments to see what they said. F Relationships Mod says, don't do it at the actual wedding, please. That will only distract from the day that is your cousin's special day. Is he coming to the wedding with you? If so, you need to tell them before, so the shock and initial upsetness can wear off, or you will be distracting from your cousin's special day. And OP responds, yes, he is coming with me. I see now that I need to tell them beforehand. I have been thinking that telling them in advance might make things worse because they will sit with it and be super mad when they see us, but at least the initial shock can wear off. Peacock Party Pants, cool, says, I think you need to be more blunt with your fiance. You need to tell him you're so worried because they're racist people and you want him to try to be mentally prepared for that. It sounds like you're trying to be too gentle not to hurt his feelings, but I don't see how else you can prepare him for the inevitable. At the very least, tell your family you're engaged either well before the wedding or after the wedding. Anything but during it. Not only not to cause a scene, but to do so during someone's wedding just seems a bit rude. And OP responds, you're probably right that I've tried to be considerate of his feelings, but also probably a bit of my own too. I'm so ashamed of my family that I've tried to put off dealing with this for too long. Thanks for your advice. Teen Line, this is Nitro, says, "Oh no, absolutely do not bring this at your cousin's wedding. Your cousin does not deserve that potential drama on their wedding day. Sit your parents down and tell them face to face in private before the wedding. If you think they will react poorly, do not force your fiance to participate and be put on the spot. Then they can meet him after they've had some time to digest the news." And OP responds, "I can't do the face-to-face thing because of the distance, but I'm going to tell them prior. The comments here have been a huge help. Thanks." Additional information from OP's comments. First, I'm black, Caribbean from the West Indies, and I have told my boyfriend about how my parents are, but I don't think he really understands. He is thinking that they will appreciate that he is loving, sweet, ambitious, hardworking, and all of these great things, so that his race will not matter. But he doesn't understand that it won't be that way. Nothing else is going to matter to them. That's why I don't really have a relationship with them. I left at 18 for college and have supported myself since. They disapprove of me because I focused on my career and not focused on finding a husband. I can't stomach much of them, so I don't. I'm hoping I can do a good job of conveying the situation to him. I've tried even using music references and things, and he just doesn't get it. He laughs it off or thinks I'm exaggerating. I'm just going to keep trying. I'll also see if I can convince them to maybe wait to tell them about our engagement after the wedding. That way, we can deal with less anger, hopefully. I was planning to do the in-person thing when we arrived for the wedding. We'll arrive 5 days before the ceremony, but the insight here has made me realize that I need to call them before, so I'll do that. We don't live in the same state. We could travel to see them prior, but I don't really want to go through the effort of something that will end badly. My fiance works in a hospital and is still in the beginning stages of his career. It isn't easy for him to get time off, and I don't want to waste it for dealing with my parents' crap. I'm really afraid that he's gonna take it personally because of his outlook on life and his limited experience with this sort of thing. I haven't ever experienced anything like this. I've certainly never had to deal with bigotry or racism from the family of anyone I've dated. I've always had really warm experiences. So my heart breaks knowing that meeting my family is going to be so hellish for him. I'm going to use this post as a starting point. There are so many insightful and understanding comments here. I'm hoping it will help him understand that it won't be a personal thing and it won't be something that he can defend himself against. OP's short-term update. Just want to give a quick update and thank everyone here so much for the kind words and tips. I had a great conversation with my fiance last night. I actually shared this post with him and it was a great help. He is actually more aware than I realized. He was downplaying his reaction somewhat as a way of putting less pressure and expectation on me. I didn't see that at all, so I was very worried that he would be crushed. In reality, he's pretty well braced for a horrible in-law relationship. We had a very productive discussion about how we want to handle things in the future. We didn't make any concrete decisions, but I am quite tired of feeling rejected and being treated as a source of shame by my parents. I'm considering getting some professional help to better cope and also feel comfortable about moving forward in my life without them. I never considered this before, but my fiance thinks it's worth a try. So I called my cousin last night to tell her that I might not go to her wedding and she wasn't as understanding as I hoped she would be. She wants me to come alone rather than reimburse her for the cost of our seats if it becomes clear that my parents will be a problem. She doesn't want to have any empty seats. I tried to explain that I don't want to set a precedent that amounts to tolerating my parents' disrespect of my fiance and our relationship, but she wasn't supportive. I feel bad for springing this on her last minute, so I'm still hoping things go well enough with my parents so that we can all go and have a good time. I'm actually looking forward to it now that I know that my fiance has more realistic expectations. I would be completely open to sitting at a neutral table, but my parents, my mom especially, can be quite dramatic. If they behave the way I think they will behave, they will find some way to be confrontational and make it publicly known that they disapprove. In their minds, my life is a reflection of them, and they are ashamed of a lot of the choices I've made in my life. It not living in the right community, spending money on education, not being fixated on getting married, etc. So whenever I am around them, they make a point of trying to humiliate me. Avoiding them at gatherings hasn't worked thus far, so I'm hesitant to risk it. Finally, my intent was never to make the introduction at the actual wedding ceremony or reception. Poor word choice on my part. I was planning to handle it when we all arrived, days before the wedding festivities are scheduled to begin. However, the posters here have helped me realize that too is a bad idea. I'm going to call my parents tonight. I will post an update to let everyone know the outcome. Thank you all so much. Okay, well, the community apparently encouraged Topi enough that she's gonna call her parents right away to tell them about her fiance. So let's not waste any time and move on to the update to see how this story ends, but of course before that, here's another one of my playlists for you to enjoy after this video. Now let's move on with the update. I wanted to come back to say thanks and give an update. I used mostly everything everyone here provided. My fiance and I actually read the post together. He was more prepared for my parents' reaction than I realized, but still not entirely. I spoke to my parents last night and it was horrible, really horrible. My parents don't know how to use Skype, so I called them from my cell to see if they would get on FaceTime with me. I don't have an iPhone, I use Android, but my fiance's work phone is an iPhone, so I called them back from his phone. Bad idea. I told them alone while my fiance was prepping dinner. Our plan was that he would come into the room with me if they acted decently, which they didn't. After I told them, my mom left the room where she was sitting with my dad and went to another room and started breaking things, being super dramatic and coming back into the room occasionally to hurl insults. My dad stayed on the phone and told me that I'm a piece of crap, I'm destroying my life and theirs, I am ungrateful, etc. He finally asked me to be decent and stay gone before being disconnected. The icing on the cake was when they had my older brother call back on my fiance's phone. At first, he said that my dad was taking my mom to the ER because I caused her to have a breakdown, but then it just degenerated into more verbal abuse. It became clear that he was just calling to be disgusting. I tried asking him to please leave us alone and stop, but he wouldn't stop calling. Now this morning, I'm getting harassing texts from his wife's phone number as well. I don't know which of them is sending them, but I've turned my phone off and I'll think about what to do later. My family had a delusion that I was going to eventually end up with the son of a family friend, so that has made the entire situation a lot worse. I dated the son for a short while years ago, but I ended things when he became violent. My family never accepted my reasons for not wanting to be with him as good enough, so anytime there is a family event and he is there, they will make intrusive comments and do things to try to force me to entertain him or be alone with him. Ironically, they asked a lot of questions amounting to the assumption that I'm either with my fiance because I'm afraid to leave him or pregnant, as if they would actually care if I were being abused now when they never cared before. I can't help but wonder what motivates them. I still need to call my cousin again and let her know that we aren't going to attend the wedding. I need to find out if we can transfer credit to another hotel and still try to salvage a vacation. I don't want to be in the same hotel as my mother or even in the same city if I can avoid it. I'm pretty sure that she will not cool down in a month and will probably try to physically attack me if we're in the same venue. I'm also pretty sure that my cousin is still going to be annoyed with me, even though I'm reimbursing her for the cost of our attendance and sending her a gift. I just don't feel right leaving my fiance at home when he hasn't done anything wrong. I don't want to condone my parents' behavior, and frankly, if they can't accept me and the man I love and treat us both with respect, I really don't care to have a relationship with them. If they need me, I will be there for them, but for the sake of my own mental well-being, I can't handle them anymore. I don't want to give anyone an in to reach me because past experience makes me feel like none of them will have anything nice to say. I probably won't send them any more messages, or at least not right now. I'm tired of begging them to accept me. Plus, if I feel like I say or do something that they construe as rude, they will just use it as fuel to turn what family I may still have against me. I don't want to block them in the event that something important happens, but for now, I may just until I feel like I can handle things a bit better. As for children, if things with my parents ever improve, they would still definitely never be allowed to have unsupervised time with my children. I'd love to eventually be more like a normal family, I'm just not willing to invest my hope in that anymore. I need to be able to move forward and be happy without them. And for people asking about my cultural background, I hate to answer this question because I don't want to falsely support the belief that this kind of thing is normal or acceptable anywhere. The vast majority of families and people of my background aren't anything like this, certainly not to this extent. We come from a really small island, basically a place where most people come from the main island to work in the tourism industry. It's a small place with a small community of natives and not a lot of imported labor. All of this to say that people talk, and if I explain the specifics of my situation, there is a strong chance that it will get back to my family still living there. And if I were to do or say something to give anyone a reason to believe that my mother isn't living a fabulous and perfect life, it will come back to me as my fault, me trying to make her look bad, etc. Anyway, thanks again for all of your comments and kind supportive messages. I actually reread some of your kind words this morning when I gave myself a bit of a pep talk. Well, OP, it might not be a happy update because, well, your parents suck, but at least it's a positive one because you've moved on from them. You understand that you won't be able to change the way they think, and it's just a drain on your energy. Energy better spent on you and your husband. Enjoy your life, OP, and here's wishing you and your future husband all the best in the future. Take care, OP, and thank you for sharing. Now, let's finish this video with a mood booster post. This post is from the subreddit Malicious Compliance, and it's by user Sarah Sill. You want to send me home? Sounds good. So, I was a sarcastic and easily annoyed guy in my 20s, and this often didn't help me get along with older or corporate types. I was working at a certain pumpkin-color big box home improvement store one spring in the flooring department. It was just starting to get warm out, and the store didn't have much air conditioning, so I was looking forward to a magical date where certain employees were allowed to switch their pants for shorts. The problem is that we had a new department manager, I'll call him Dick, who was aggressively chasing a promotion to assistant manager, then store manager. He thought he could accomplish that by being a super by-the-book hard-ass and being relentlessly metric-focused. This translated into a manager who was a know-it-all micromanaging douche. Anyway, I'm scheduled to open at 5 AM one day on the fabled day of cooler bottom wear, and I walk in all light and airy and bare-legged. Dick, who was the overnight manager the previous night, saw me and threw a fit. "Why are you out of uniform?" he asked. "I'm not. I can wear shorts starting today," I proclaimed. "Not your position in your department. Who told you you could do that?" he retorted. "The employee handbook and standard operating procedure. I can show you if you don't believe me," I offered. "I know the SOP and your department doesn't get to wear shorts. That's only garden. Go home and change right now," he demanded, face getting redder with the defiance. "Oh, Dick, if that's how you want to play it, I'll be back in an hour," I sighed. "Maybe the loss of an hour of pay will teach you something." So I know better. The reason I know better is because I'm one of the weirdos who actually read the entire standard operating procedure document, the employee handbook, which is actually just a subsection of the SOP, and I really hate being wrong, so I checked the SOP before doing anything different day to day. In my store, the SOP was like invoking God. If the SOP said so, that won every single argument. So I go home, change into pants, but bring my shorts back to work with me. By now, Dick's shift is over, and I ask the new morning manager on duty, Darren, to meet with me. "Why? What's up?" "Oh, just an SOP issue." "Oh, okay, give me like 10 minutes. So I swing by my desk and printed out several things. My latest pay stub included my official job title and department number. The company directory listed the department names and their associated numbers. The SOP dealt with when and which department's employees can wear shorts. The annual email from the regional VP confirming which departments could wear shorts also included the line, "and this letter is to be posted at the time clock between the dates of that date and that date." The SOP detailing the company transportation and mileage reimbursement policy, a Google Maps route that mirrored the route I take to and from work with the total mileage highlighted. So I meet with Darren and explain what happened and handed him each page in turn as they became relevant. In the end, we agreed that I was right on every single account and asked me what I wanted. I want the time. I was turned away before I could clock in, so I want to be paid starting 5 AM. Feel free to check the CCTV if you want to confirm when I arrived. I want the mileage because Dick sent me on essentially a company errand with my own vehicle through no fault of my own. I want this letter posted at the clock like it says it's supposed to be. I want you to talk to Dick about this because I told him this was the SOP before he sent me home. And I'm changing back into my shorts. All of that sounds more than fair. Get the paperwork for the clock adjustment and mileage to me today and I'll sign it. The letter mysteriously went missing from the time clock the next day, but I replaced it every day until I happened to see Dick angrily snatch it off the board and throw it away. I reported that as well, and the letter stopped going missing. He didn't talk to me much, and I was transferred to another department a month later. So, all in all, win-win, I think. Well, OP, he challenged your knowledge of the SOP, and you proved him very, very wrong. Well done, OP, and thank you for sharing. And that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch it. Now, if you've gotten to this point in the video, I assume that you like these stories that I'm reading out, so here are a couple more that you might enjoy. And if you don't have any time to watch another story right now, save it for later, and also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button.